What's going on, guys? It's the Beast Bailey, and welcome back to Championship Channel. We national champions of the world. Nah, but man, it still does not feel real. It don't. It is crazy, man. It is crazy to think that because you never think it's going to happen to a team unless you're an Alabama fan or maybe a Clemson fan right now. Those are the two most recent teams that won a natty. LSU won it at 19. But the last time they won a natty was, 2006? Not 6. 7? 05? 04? Whenever the last time they won a championship with Les Miles and Nick Saban. It might have been earlier than that. I don't know. But so LSU fans had a recent championship. I mean, it was a 12-year gap, whatever. But for Georgia, it was a 41-year gap. 41 years. And you wonder, why did it take so long for Georgia to win another national championship? And I mean, it's like I said, I've only been watching football for 10 years. 2011 was the first year I started watching from start to finish. And I watched some in 08, 09, and 10. I watched a little bit here and there. I remember watching Joe Cox play. I remember watching Matthew Stafford play. Aaron Murray was the first quarterback that I watched consecutively. And then we had Hudson Mason, Grayson Lambert, Jacob Eason. Those 3 years were dud years, pretty much. Those 3 years were just duds with those three quarterbacks. I liked Hudson Mason. I think he was the best out of those three. Jacob Eason, he's a talented quarterback, yes. I thought Hudson Mason was a good quarterback. Grayson Lambert, he was all right. And then we had Jake Fromm for 3 years. Then we had Stetson Bennett in 2020. Then we had JT. Then we had JT again in 2021. Then we had Stetson, won a national championship. So, I don't know. I never doubted Stetson Bennett. Not one time. Never doubted him. Never doubted my boy Stet. Never doubted Stetson, bro. I never doubted that man, bro. Never did. Nah, look, I never doubted him. I just criticized him. So, but the point of this video is, since Georgia won the Natty, there's been 5 players to hit the transfer portal, and I got the list right here. One of these names is a little surprising, but the other 4 are not. Wide receiver Jalen Johnson, wide receiver Justin Robertson, 3 DBs, Jalen Kimbar. Now that one, he's a freshman. That one surprised a lot of people, and it didn't really surprise me that much. But that one I think that one might hurt us, losing him. Amir Speed, DB, he played a good bit of games this year. And the one that surprised me was Latavius Brini. He started 11 of the 15 games. Now, William Poole actually took his starting job. William Poole took his job. Y'all know how I feel about William Poole. I think Brini's better than Poole. Obviously, Brini's got some information on Kirby, I guess. I don't know. A lot of people are saying that Brini, buy the Brini. I don't want to lose Brini. I think he's pretty good. Georgia. Before I continue, the wide receivers, wish them the best of luck. Georgia lost 3 freshman wide receivers last year. They went to Toledo, Oregon State, and somewhere else, North Texas. Georgia lost a bunch of players last year to the portal, and they went all over the country. Like I said, Toledo, Oregon State, Middle Tennessee State, LSU, they went everywhere. Miami, Florida State. The best player on Florida State's roster came from Georgia, and the best player from Miami's roster came from Georgia. So Tyreek Stevenson, DB, went back to Miami, went home. Best player on the team on the defense. Florida State, Jermaine Burton. No, Jermaine Burton. Jermaine Johnson, linebacker. Is he a linebacker or D lineman? I think he's a linebacker. Anyway, he phenomenal dude. I hated losing him. I still follow him on Instagram, and he went to Florida State just to have more starting time, more film, because at Georgia we rotate players, so that's why he left. It's understandable why people leave. Understandable. James Cook declared for the draft. He's the only senior to declare for the draft, or the only junior or senior to declare so far. Now, Zamir White is a junior. Now, I thought Zamir White was a senior. So, Zamir White could come back, and that would really kind of put a stopping on the whole Kenny McIntosh and Kendall Milton train. Because Zamir White, if he leaves, it's going to be Kendall Milton, Kenny McIntosh, and a Dejon Edwards show next year. Now, Kendall Milton, he did not look too good this year. He looked better last year. But Dejon Edwards is going to be a monster. Dejon Edwards is probably the best running back on the team behind Milton. McIntosh is slowly becoming a little bit like James Cook. McIntosh is kind of becoming that role. He might move to that role to be more of a hybrid wide receiver running back flex type thing. Because James Cook is just a talented running back. I mean, the dude can play wide receiver. He can play. You put him out all the way out on the end. Put him on one-on-one with a linebacker. I mean, it's just a major mismatch. So I think Kenny McIntosh could be molded into a James Cook role next year, maybe, and let Kendall Milton and Dejon Edwards take the load. And that's if Zamir doesn't come back. I would love to have Zamir White come back because I think a senior running back leadership, I think he could come back and maybe have a big year. He might get to 1,000 yards. I don't see it because we rotate, like I said, 3 backs. So he might get 800-900 yards and maybe 10, 12 touchdowns next year as long as he stays healthy throughout the year. I mean, if he goes, I wish him nothing but the best. He will be drafted if he leaves. But I just hate it when players leave and don't get drafted. Like Elijah Holyfield did that when he left as a junior. He should have stayed for his senior year. Jake Fromm should have stayed for his senior year too. If we had Jake Fromm in 2020, we would have had a little different year. Boy, I don't know. It's just what it is. I believe our defense will be. It's not going to be no 10 points a game defense. I can promise you that. If I had to put money on it, Georgia will probably give up, I would say, in the high teens to low 20s a game. I can see teams hanging in the 20s and 30s on us next year. I just see it. The secondary is going to be depleted again. Keely Ringo is the only one returning. Brainy would have been returning, but he's leaving. We're losing Christopher Smith. He's a senior. Christopher Smith's leaving. Who else? Brainy, Lewis Seen. We have William Poole and Dan Jackson. Could those guys get better? Yeah, they can. But yeah, the secondary. We still got Tyke Smith, the transfer from West Virginia. He was an All-American. He tore his ACL in practice, so he's still there. So we got to get a DB out of the transfer portal. We got to get somebody. I'm sure there's some out there that we need to go after because that to me is the number one position. I really will have to keep a lot down. It's great that we have a great front seven and we can stop anybody's run game. That's amazing to me. But I'd rather allow a running back run 200 yards, but only allow a team to throw for 150 yards. You know what I'm saying? I'd rather have the passing game cut off because that's what's more effective these days is passing. I'd rather diminish a passing game, force a team to run the ball first. Because if you can stop the pass and a run, you're golden. So Georgia's got the run game locked. They've been like that for years. The last running back to really tear us up was Oklahoma's running back in the Rose Bowl. He ran for over 200 yards. I think that's the last time the running back has done that, and that's been, 4 years ago? 5 years ago? So, I mean, it's been a while since one running back single-handedly took care of Georgia. So, and there was a lot of offense in that game too. But I'm not worried about the front seven, really. I mean, we got Jalen Carter come back, who is just as good as Jordan Davis and Devontae Wyatt. Devontae Wyatt and Davis are going to the draft. Carter's come back. We got Nazir Stackhouse. I think Trayvon Walker's coming back. I'm not sure on that one yet. I'm not sure. I believe Nolan Smith and Nakobe Dean are probably going to leave for the draft. Yeah, I mean, the defense next year is going to be different, man. It's going to be different. On the offensive side of the ball, we haven't heard anything about no quarterbacks leaving, which is surprising. I'm surprised that Carson Beck or JT hasn't transferred yet. I think JT is waiting to hear what Stetson does. I think that is what he is waiting on. If Carson Beck transferred, Carson Beck's gone. I don't see why he would waste his time. He is never going to start for Georgia ever in his career unless something dramatically happens with the quarterback room. Carson Beck's not going to start ever for the University of Georgia. Carson, I appreciate your service and time at the University of Georgia, but good luck to you back home at UCF, wherever you go, buddy. UCF, Florida, wherever you want to go. I think JT is literally, I think he's waiting on Stetson because Stetson can come back. He's got 1 year due to COVID. Now, me personally, I want Stetson to ride off into the sunset. That's just me personally. I think I don't want another QB controversy next year. I don't want to keep talking about quarterbacks next year. I don't want this discussion again. Yes, Stetson Bennett is a national championship winning quarterback. But is he an elite quarterback? No, he's not. Georgia won the national championship this year. 70% defense, 30% offense. That's why. So, I mean, that's just the facts. If Georgia was giving up in the mid-20s, maybe low 30s points per game, it'd be a rough year. It'd have been a rough one. I love Stetson, and I commend him. He's definitely a Georgia Bulldog legend now. I mean, that's just the facts. He's got the greatest story in college football history. The greatest story. I'm happy for him. But if I was him, I would just look. I mean, he could come back. And, I honestly was thinking about this earlier today. I was sitting on the couch, just kind of in my thoughts, thinking about the season next year. And I kept thinking to myself, I might actually be okay if Stetson came back and played next year. I might be okay. Because Stetson, from 2020 to 2021, was two different quarterbacks. Now, he did make some boneheaded plays this year. And I think people, really brag on Stetson about that because he's a former walk-on, and we got all these 5 stars. And so when he makes really bad decisions, everybody jumps down his throat, me included. And that's the reason. That's the reason why. Because he's a walk-on. I mean, that's just what it is. And Stetson, national championship winning quarterback, baby. Woo! Yeah, let's go. I would be happy. I would be fine with if Stetson left or stayed. I'd be fine with it. But just beware, if Stetson comes back, JT Daniels is gone. So JT's out if Stetson comes back. Now, if Stetson leaves, I think JT's staying. It will be a JT season next year. Now, JT could decide to leave anyway. And I'd be okay with that too. And I've said this a few times, a couple of my buddies at work. I've said I would be perfectly content with Carson and JT leaving and Stetson going to the draft and it's a Gunner and Brock show. I would be completely content with that. Gunner and Brock battling out. And maybe even if Caleb Williams decided to come, I think Caleb Williams is waiting to find out too about what JT and Stetson's going to do. I'd be fine with Caleb Williams coming in, and it'd be a three-way battle between Caleb, Brock, and Gunner, because that's 3 5-star quarterbacks battling it out. That's what I want to see, not a walk-on battling with a 5. I don't want to see that. I want to see why these dudes have the stars next to their name. I want to see what they can do. Because the offense that we built around Stetson was built for him and his limitations. I want to see an offense that's built around a quarterback who can tear it up, who has no limitations. Brock has no limitations. JT has no limitations except he can't run the ball. If we're going to run JT, we better have a good offensive line. Somebody out block. If we're running Gunner, I mean, Brock Vandagriff can move. He can run around the pocket too. I think Brock Vandagriff is just like Stetson. He can run around just like him. So, either or, I really want to see something different. But I'd be fine with Stetson or JT being the starter next year. I would be okay with it. Stetson proved to me he can do it. He can win. I think he was what? He started 9 games, 10 games. He was 9-1. So he was 11-1 this year as a starter. So, I mean, I think I'd be okay with it. But we just have to see. I mean, it's still fresh. A lot of the stuff's going to be coming out in the next couple of weeks. And I'm going to try to keep posting on my channel going through the offseason about recruiting and transfers and all that. And I'll be doing some predictions for the other teams around the country. So, and yeah. Well, this is my Georgia room, like I've said before. I got a paint in here. I got to get it decorated up. I have a bunch of Georgia stuff that I got to get hung up. So I got a bunch of stuff. So yeah, I'm gonna actually sand these pinstripes off. I'm actually gonna paint over that. I'm gonna sand that down and get rid of that. So I don't feel like repainting it. That was there when we got here, but I would like to keep the pinstripes, but it's just what it is, I guess. We're just gonna paint it a gray, and we're gonna roll with it, baby. We're gonna roll with it. Go Dogs. Peace.